Yeah, like
I'm going to take this to Veritas.
You just said about how there was like a moment where the propaganda, it was too much, and you're like, I have to just speak out against this.
Yeah.
Where does somebody, because obviously people are facing this with their jobs, specifically with the vax mandates and the things going on right now, where it's like they feel they're at that threshold where it's just too much bullshit, but they don't know like how to act or when enough is enough, and like when you should actually take a stance. And I think that's always surprised me with someone like yourself, where you have this promising career in this one direction, you can shut up, stay silent, but then you chose to risk it all.
Yeah. People to this day in corporate news think I'm crazy. The corporate news is really a cult. And for someone to leave the cult, it just doesn't make sense to the people who are still in the cult. Like, you're ruining this beautiful future you had. But it's actually so much better on the outside. And a lot of people in corporate news are miserable. But for me, I mean, the propaganda, it was just propaganda right off the top with COVID. You know, once the pandemic hit, it was so clear that this was being over sensationalized from the start, and facts that would maybe bring things into perspective were suppressed, so that it always seemed like it was a threat of death if you left the home. And I was like, this isn't right. But what really made me want to leave was when I was sent out to cover facts on the ground, like I always am, and the facts contradicted the narrative. The narrative at that time was that we're not speaking the word hydroxychloroquine anymore because we're past that. A study came out that said it doesn't work, so therefore we're not going to speak about this. And if you say that word, you're in trouble. Well, I didn't know. The narrative in the news is always unspoken. And a girl came up to me recently and was like, is there a memo that gets passed around within the newsroom of like how you're supposed to talk and what you're supposed to say and what you aren't supposed to say? Because it seems that way. And it really does seem that way. But it's all unspoken. And so this unspoken narrative was that I was not supposed to talk about this drug anymore. But they sent me out to cover a COVID ward at a local hospital, and the doctor was using that, and the death rate at his hospital was remarkably lower than other hospitals. He had a whole list of treatments that he used, but I wasn't supposed to get into everything he used. He also used ivermectin, and he used a certain kind of steroid that's more effective than what the WHO recommends. He also used a blood thinner, which is key, and nobody talks about how blood thinners are important if you have a bad case of COVID. So why can't we get into what this doctor's really using? I laid out his whole recipe, and all hell broke loose because I did that.
So just stating the facts, like, because this is what people I think don't understand, is like just by not even an agenda, but by literally copying down what you observed and transcribing it into, into words or into writing, that got you in trouble.
Yeah, and
so bizarre.
Yeah, and that's when I realized that it didn't matter. It didn't matter that it was that specific topic. That precedent being set told me that I'm in a new frontier with news where it's not journalism anymore. It's not facts on the ground anymore. It's the corporate narrative, whatever the corporation wants me to spout out. And I have to figure that out myself because the corporation's not going to give me a memo of what I'm supposed to say. I'm just supposed to sense it out. And I was like, no, I need to be able as a journalist to go out and cover what's actually happening. And they are getting me in trouble if I allow. What I did is I allowed that doctor to say what he used. I interviewed the doctor, and he said the word that wasn't supposed to be spoken, and then I'm in trouble for that. So that to me was a big precedent set that I was like, I'm not going to be a part of this because this is not going in a good direction anymore. I've heard through mutual friends. The ones who are not talking to me have told mutual friends, like, what is wrong with her? Why did she do this? And she's making us look bad because she's saying that the news is fake. And we just need a paycheck, okay? Sometimes you just need a paycheck. And this is what they're telling these other people who are then telling me what they're saying. And it's like, if you're willing to regurgitate propaganda for a paycheck, you're in the wrong business. Go into advertising or PR.
Yeah, seriously. It's like that the lack of integrity I think that you find in a lot of corporate journalists is staggering. I mean, it's like they don't care. They don't care about the information that they're putting out into the world, so long as, like you said, they are getting paid at the end of the day. That's so gross.
Because they're honestly they're losers.
So unattractive.
But they are also, that's what I'm saying. They're actual losers, because if you think about this in any way of your career, I mean, this applies to sciences, to anything, where there is pressure in order to abide by a certain code of ethics or standard that is actually like anti-ethics or anti-standard, right? And this is with any job. People always feel pressure. I mean, even when I worked at a pharmacy, they would say, oh, sell these drugs to that person in cash specifically, don't record it. And there's pressure in any job to break rules or to do things or to change things to please somebody else. And I get that, and that's totally normal. But when certain times, not only should you not do that at any time, this is not just a certain job or a specific pharmacy or a certain place. There's an entire system that's been corrupted and eroded from the inside. And with the media specifically, I mean, and I agree with you on this. This is why I can't handle the corporate media. Is like multiple times when I've been on the ground, I always notice one thing. The corporate media is never in the best place to tell the story of what's happening.
Yeah.
And they're always conveniently in a position to where you could kind of say whatever you wanted. And as long as you showed the right clips later, you could craft your own narrative. And like during the riots, right, we saw how stupid these people were when they were like, this is a fiery but mostly peaceful protest. Like, it's like there was fire burning behind them and they were still using the word peaceful. And it's like, if 2020 and 2021 didn't wake people up, like, I personally don't know what else could happen.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from BlazeTV, with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.